Good luck sleeping after this. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 insane mysteries you probably didn't know about. For this list, we're looking at the strangest and downright creepiest mysteries throughout history that may have gone unnoticed in the public eye. From unsolved murders to disappearances to indecipherable texts, this list has them all. None of these enigmas have been conclusively solved to this day, leading many people to turn to the supernatural for explanation. So get ready for some goosebumps. Number 10. The disappearance of Walter Collins. This mystery is so abnormal that 80 years later it became the basis for Clint Eastwood's film Changeling. In 1928, 9-year-old Walter Collins went missing. 5 months later, the police return a boy to his mother, Christine Collins. Except she claims this boy is not her son.
They told me and all of you that this boy was my son. He was not my son. The LAPD made a mistake.
After suggesting she give it a whirl anyway, the police grow tired of Mother Collinson's complaints and commit her to a psychiatric ward, while ridiculing her and her parenting skills.
No!
Until, that is, the boy admitted he had been lying. Christine Collins searched for her son for the rest of her life, but never found him, which is tragic. But the police's odd behavior makes this case even stranger. Number 9. The Havana Syndrome. Starting sometime in 2016, diplomatic personnel in Cuba began to experience a weird range of health problems such as memory loss, hearing loss, and nausea.
Doctors said that diplomats' brain matter had actually changed. What started out as a mysterious nuisance became a suspected instrument of attack.
Follow-up studies found that there was evidence of brain injuries. However, when questioned, the victims said that they'd heard a strange noise like a grating sound or marbles rolling on the floor, although others nearby did not hear this.
A source says starting last December, the U.S. officials were exposed to a sonic device, which experts suggest could produce sound waves below and above human hearing, which could cause these symptoms.
Quasi-unusual, but when recordings of the sound were captured, the closest thing researchers could find were Jamaican field crickets, which are harmless.
The recording is just one of the many sounds taken in Cuba that led investigators to initially believe it was a sonic weapon.
No cause has been found, and theories range from microwave weapons to pesticides.
Who or what caused it? A mystery.
The United States government is still not sure who or what is responsible for those health attacks.
Number 8. The ghost blimp. Picture it. 1942 off the coast of California. 2 U.S. Navy pilots command the Navy's L-8 blimp in search of Japanese submarines in waters not so far from San Francisco.
There were known to be Japanese submarines operating off the coast. There had been an attack on an oil refinery down near Santa Monica, Los Angeles. There was a great fear that there would be more attacks.
They radio flight control about an oil slick on the water and are never heard from again. A few hours later, that very same L-8 blimp crashes into a cliff, with no one on board. Everything in or about the craft was working normally, the throttles were idle, and more eerily, the parachutes and lifeboat were still on board. To this day, no one knows what happened, and the personnel involved were never found. Number 7. The Orang Medan. In 1947, American vessels picked up an SOS call from a Dutch vessel, the SS Orang Medan. The message was a chilling one. SOS from Orang Medan. We float. Probably whole of crew dead. I die. Finding the ship also meant finding corpses with gaping eyes and mouths. Soon after, while under tow, the ship caught fire and exploded. Stranger still, there are apparently no registration records for the ship, while the Coast Guard didn't report the story until the mid-50s. Theories tend to focus on government cover-ups due to possible chemical weapons on board. This story even served as the basis for the 2019 video game The Dark Pictures anthology, The Man of Medan. Number 6. The Lost Colony of Roanoke. In 1597, John White led a group of British colonists to Roanoke Island off the coast of what is now North Carolina to settle it. Requiring supplies, White returned to Britain. But when he came back to Roanoke in 1590, he found his people were gone.
The only evidence of life were some footprints of bare feet in the sand. It was not a good omen.
Rather than a carved X to indicate they'd been taken by force, he found the word Croatoan etched into the fencing. Did this mean they'd left for the Croatoan island? Or had they joined the Croatoan people, a group of First Nations allied with the English?
So this brings up the whole notion of the Native Americans and the relationship that they had with them. Was it contentious? Was it good? What do we know about that?
Not a very good relationship. They're finding that they're not welcome here.
No one knows. And experts today are even using modern DNA tests to search for possible descendants and solve this mystery once and for all.
It's the oldest missing persons case in America. And yet today, there are more people dedicated to solving it than ever before.
Number 5, the Tunguska event. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, a large explosion blasted the area near the Tunguska River in Russia, flattening some 80 million trees over some 800 square miles of forest.
Millions of pine trees, larches and birches are destroyed by the pressure wave and the fires. A shockwave circles the world, leaving its mark on seismographs everywhere. But no one can understand where it has come from.
For years, scientists debated what could have caused such an explosion.
Shockwaves rippled across Europe. The night sky was illuminated for weeks after, and people were able to read their newspapers in the middle of the night from London to Asia.
It's classified as the largest impact event ever recorded, but no impact crater was ever found. Instead, researchers found 5 miles of scorched trees directly in the center that were somehow still standing. In 2013, however, a team from the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine analyzed rock samples from the site and concluded it was likely a meteor exploding in midair.
Researchers studied microscopic fragments of decayed vegetation dating back to the time of the event and discovered mineral combinations perfectly consistent with other meteorite impact sites, like the 50,000-year-old meteor crater in Arizona.
Number 4, the Bay of Jars. Brazil's Guanabara Bay contains a lot of trash. But the trash that people cannot explain is the 200 or so Roman ceramic jars found submerged in an underwater field the size of 3 tennis courts. According to experts, these jars trace back to the 3rd century. However, European explorers didn't even reach Brazil until 1500, and the Romans themselves had little to no incentive to travel that far out. Thus, it's a complete mystery why their artifacts would be found there. Meanwhile, Brazil closed off the area in 1983, so it's unlikely an answer will ever be found. Number 3, the Voynich manuscript. If you haven't heard of this one, strap in. The Voynich manuscript is a mysterious 250-page book written in a completely unknown language and containing odd, otherworldly sketches.
There are theories that the book might have been written in a kind of encoded Latin, or that an alien wrote it while being held captive in a monastery, or that Leonardo da Vinci wrote it as a child.
Its origin is unable to be fully traced, so no one knows who created it, let alone why, but carbon dating puts it in the early 15th century.
Cryptologists say the writing has all the characteristics of a real language, just one that no one's ever seen before. What makes it seem real is that in actual languages, letters and groups of letters appear with consistent frequencies, and the language in the Voynich manuscript has patterns you wouldn't find from a random letter generator.
So far, no one has been able to decode the script it's written in, despite being worked on by professional code breakers from both World War I and World War II. What strange message lies inside this uncrackable book?
The truth is, after decades of dedicated study to try and solve the mystery, this strange book seems likely to remain one of our most enduring historical codes to crack.
Number 2, the Max Headroom hijack. In 1987, 2 television stations in Chicago were hijacked in perhaps the most surreal act of video piracy ever recorded.
It takes some pretty significant equipment, technical equipment, and some knowledge of broadcast frequencies, microwave frequencies, and a lot of power.
Both instances featured an unidentified man dressed as obscure TV personality Max Headroom dancing to distorted audio. The second video, significantly longer, saw the man rambling incoherently in a distorted voice and being swatted on the behind by an off-screen accomplice.
Some dry clothes. Because he's a freaking nerd. I think I'm better Chips Worsley working with oh, Jesus.
The segments lasted no more than a couple of minutes, but have gone down as among the most notorious incidents in television history. No one has ever identified who pulled it off or even why. We can only hope someone comes forward after all this time to put an end to this mystery.
My brother is wearing the other one. But it's dirty. It's got footprints on it.
I do think that at least some of these will one day be solved, but it is so frustrating that we have to wait. And it's one thing for these mysteries that happened decades or centuries ago, but what about the Havana thing? That was only a few years ago. Anyway, there's one more insane mystery you probably didn't know about. So let's check out a few honorable mentions, and then we'll learn more about it. Why have dozens of dogs leapt off this bridge to their deaths? The Overtoun Bridge, Scotland. Who killed this man and left a coded message? The Tamam Shud case.
Officially, it's still a cold case and the police file is still open, and so the ball is in the court of the police.
Were these rocks naturally formed or an ancient civilization? Bimini Road, Bahamas.
Conditions are near perfect. The team are able to examine what actually lies beneath this fascinating structure. It seems like there are 2 layers to some of the road.
Who put these mysterious tiles across the US and what do they mean? The Toynbee tiles.
I would walk over the tiles over and over and over and over again. So I would think about them every single day. And, I would just constantly think, I wonder how long they've been there. I wonder what they mean.
Why did 500,000 people become living statues? The encephalitis lethargica outbreak. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, the Dyatlov Pass incident. This is one of the strangest mysteries of all time. 9 Russian hikers went trekking in the mountains and never came back.
This is the last photo taken by the hikers before they died. It's out of focus, but it seems to show mysterious lights in the sky.
Their bodies were discovered in a variety of strange yet terrible states. Their tent had been ripped open from the inside, implying that they fled suddenly. Stranger even still, they had traces of radiation on their clothes. No one actually knows what could have caused such an incident, and their deaths remain a complete mystery.
The evidence here is both extensive, yet maddeningly incomplete. And until we fill in the gaps, the case cannot be fully closed.
But if you want to know more about what happened on the Dyatlov Pass, then head over to Unveiled and check out our deep dive video. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.